Welcome to North Alabama Gameday, your all-access pass to the pulse of high school sports across North Alabama. Every Thursday at 7 p.m., join Oakley, Carter, Harrison, Barrett, and Sam as they break down the biggest games, boldest predictions, and behind-the-scenes action. It's time to kick off. Let's get in the game.
Hello and welcome to the second week of the North Alabama Game Day podcast. I'm here with
Sam Sweat,
Harrison Chandler,
Barrett Blakely,
and I'm Carter. We're gonna jump right into it. If you did see the preview video, Oakley is not here tonight. Maybe we can get him next week. Wasn't here last week. We'll work on that. But Barrett is here this week. We got Barrett this week.
We do have Barrett this week. So guys, we appreciate you tuning in. So the first game's first. We're going to do Brooks at Lauderdale County. That's kind of what we've designated as game of the week this week. We really got some good competition in that game. I do think it's going to be a close game. I'm going to go ahead and say that. Sam, go ahead and tell us how you're feeling about that game.
Okay, so as we all, or most of us know, Lauderdale County lost to Marshall last week pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all pretty much called it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think they're a little beat up. Brooks actually coming off a very easy win against Wilson.
Yeah, 61-14.
61-14. So I think it's going to be, a beat up Lauderdale County versus a healthy Brooks. I think I still got Lauderdale County here. Bounce back win.
It is a Thursday night game. A lot of the games did get moved to Thursday due to the hurricane coming in tomorrow. So we did let the game of the week go first. That way we can get it out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it'll be about first quarter over by the time.
Hopefully we'll be getting some updates during the show that we'll be able to announce to y'all. So hopefully that follows through.
So yeah, I'm gonna follow off Sam, but we got to see Lauderdale County against Marshall last week, and we run a heavy run offense, so they packed the box very big. They had about 9 of their defenders in between our tackle and tight end. So I don't know. I think Brooks likes to throw the ball a lot. They also like to run the ball with their quarterback. Garrett, I believe he has 7 rushing touchdowns this year, and but none passing. So I think he's going to get his first passing touchdown tonight. I think with the way that they run their defense, he's going to be able to spread the field out and find his playmakers. So I'm going to have to go Brooks.
All right. Well, obviously, like we said, Lauderdale County came off of a pretty good loss to Marshall last week, 31-14, and Brooks absolutely killed their competition last week, 61-14. I do think Lauderdale County is going to come back pretty angry. I know that they didn't want to lose that game. That's kind of become a rivalry between the two schools, Marshall and Lauderdale County, and I definitely do think that Lauderdale County is going to have a good game tonight. I do think it's going to be a close game. I'm expecting probably about a 10-point game, but I do think Lauderdale County is going to come out with a dub tonight.
I got the Tigers winning this game. I have Tank Mason having a big game. I think they're going to come back for revenge after losing to Marshall 31-14, so I have him having a big game, and I'm going to have to say the old Tigers on this one.
I think, and I think Tank wants to have a good game because he did have Player of the Week just a couple weeks ago, and, he didn't have the best week last week against us, so I think he's going to be looking for a big revenge game.
I looked up his stats, and he averages 12 points per game and 119 yards per game, so I think he'll have a good game this game.
Pretty good.
Sound very good. All right, on to the next game. This game was actually intended for Friday, like most of these games were. Like we said, the weather is supposedly going to be bad, so it's kind of a weird Thursday when we're really talking about a lot of games that should have kicked off 4 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, the next game is going to be Cherokee at Belgreen. What do you think about that one, Sam?
Okay, so Cherokee got a good win against undefeated Vina last week.
Mm-hmm.
That was impressive. And, a lot of us, I think all 4 of us last week picked Belgreen to beat Tanner.
We did. And that was a big mistake.
Big mistake.
Big mistake.
Belgreen with the big upset. So, no, sorry. Tanner with the big upset.
Right. So I want to go ahead and say this before he continues. When we looked at that game, Tanner had only scored 7 points throughout all 4 of their games so far. And we even apologized to the fans. We said, I'm sorry if you're having to watch these games because these are pretty brutal games. So, but Tanner did. They came out of nowhere.
Came out and scored 47.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I got Cherokee.
I'm going to have to go with Cherokee. I think Belgreen's still pretty upset after that big loss to a Tanner team who, obviously we didn't think they were looking too good. But, I'm gonna go Cherokee also.
I'm also going to go Cherokee. I feel like this one's a fairly obvious one. I don't want to be too confident in that because last time we thought the Tanner Belgreen game was going to be a pretty easy win, but it definitely was not. They actually lost. But anyways, So Cherokee did beat. Oh, thank you, Leah Hupel. We appreciate that. But Cherokee did beat the brakes off of Vina, and Vina, like you said, was undefeated, 48-8. They beat them by 40 points, which is a really, really good game for them. I think Cherokee's going to be kind of on that high from last week, and I got to say, Belgreen is not near as impressive as I thought they were going to be this year, so I'm going to have to go with Cherokee on this game.
47-13 is kind of embarrassing. To lose to Tanner by that much, that's kind of embarrassing. I got Cherokee winning by 2 touchdowns. Looking at Cherokee's defensive stats, they have allowed 61 points.
Yikes.
And they averaged 12.2 points. So I'm going to have to go Cherokee by 2 touchdowns.
I like that.
Good call.
All right, next game on our list that we're going to be looking at is Colbert County at Deshler. Sam, how do you feel about that one?
So last week, I don't know if we all picked Colbert County to beat Rogers. I know I did, and shocker to me that Rogers won.
Absolutely.
And I think I heard it was Colbert County had 5 turnovers.
5 or 6.
It was up there.
And I know Colbert County's their main running back did not play.
Kind of reminds me of the Auburn game.
Absolutely.
5 turnovers. Sorry, Barrett.
Barrett.
Barrett's an Auburn fan.
We just had quarterback.
Anyways, going back to high school sports.
Yeah, so Colbert County, tough loss. Deshler coming off a bye week. So that might be the difference. I actually have Colbert County bouncing back after a very, very tough loss because I was pretty impressed when they played Marcel, I will say.
I agree. And Colbert County and Deshler has played every year since 1967. So this is a ongoing game. Like this happens every year, including one time they played twice in 1989, for a playoff game. But Deshler's 34. They've won 34 out of the 58 games, and I think Deshler's going to do that again tonight. Colbert County coming off of a big disappointing loss against Rogers, but also Deshler having a bye week last week. I think they're rested up. I think they've had 2 good weeks of practice. I think they're ready to go. I'm gonna have to go Deshler.
I'm also gonna have to go Deshler on this game. Colbert County is 1-4. Deshler is 2-2. So both of them don't really have very impressive records so far. And Deshler does. They've won 7 straight against Colbert County now, which doesn't necessarily mean anything because teams do change over the years. But I will say that I do think Deshler is going to win this one. Deshler is coming off of a bye week. They're going to be pretty rested up. And I think Colbert County's probably down in the dumps because they did lose to Rogers. And I think that was very unsuspected. I don't think anybody thought that was going to happen, especially we didn't.
Yeah.
But I do think that Deshler is going to win this game. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout, but I do think that they're going to win.
Deshler has played 4 games. They have allowed 63 points. And Colbert County, they have some athletic players, and I don't think Deshler is going to have the defense to stop them. So I'm going to have to say Colbert County by a touchdown.
Really?
All right, next game on the list. Unless y'all have anything else to add.
Well, I would say this for Colbert County. This seems like a pretty pivotal game in their season.
Absolutely.
They dropped
Is
it 1-5?
They're going to be 1-5 if they lose this game.
And I don't even think they're not a bad team. I just think if they lose here, it's going to kind of.
They're not a bad team. When Marcel played Colbert County, I was very, very impressed by how Colbert County looked. They looked like a really strong team, and they had a lot of really good athletes.
Yeah.
And honestly, they played a good game against us, at least at the beginning. Yeah. I was very impressed. But that loss to Rogers came out of nowhere. I was extremely shocked on that loss to Rogers. I never thought that would happen. But so yeah, I do think it's a pivotal game. 1-5 is a pretty rough record. I think it's going to be rough on a lot of the players. So I do think they're going to have to pull through on this one if they want to win. All right, next game, we're going to go Lawrence County. And this is the Lawrence County in Alabama at Haleyville. Sam?
All right, so Haleyville lost last week to Fayette County, and I actually I know several people from Fayette County, believe it or not, and they're pretty tough guys, but I didn't expect a loss like that. So
now, if I'm not mistaken, that is your family, correct?
That is family, yes, but
it's very impressive.
No family on the football team.
No family on the football team.
Yeah, and Haleyville's opponent's record that they've beaten is 0-14. So. It's not great. And now Lawrence County lost a very close one to undefeated Fairview last week. So, I think I got Lawrence County.
I'm going to have to always go Lawrence County. I do see Haleyville losing 3 straight. They lost last week to Fayette County, and they lost the week before that. We talked about them just a few weeks ago. They look like they're having a good season thus far. But, 0-14. The teams they've beaten, it's not too impressive. So might have to go with Lawrence County.
Yeah, I'm also gonna have to go with Lawrence County. I hate to be like the exact same, but I really do think Lawrence County's gonna win. The 0-14 that Haleyville has played against, and that's been all their wins. That's pretty rough. 0-14. I mean, obviously, it sounds like they're not really playing anybody to win. I do think that that Lawrence County is going to win. But the last time they did meet was in 2015. They won 37 or 31-7. Haleyville actually won that game, but that was what 9 years ago.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I definitely do think Lawrence County is going to win this game.
$10 points.
I agree.
10 points. Okay. Next game that we're going to be talking about is Red Bay at Belmont. This is the Belmont, Mississippi. So, we're not very familiar with this team at all. We really did have to do some research on this because, we haven't really heard much about Belmont, Mississippi at all. But anyways, that's the next game. Sam, how are you feeling about that one?
So I know last week I said I've never picked Red Bay, and you know
I
what?
had somebody come up to me at church and said to stop the Red Bay hate. So you better watch it.
not hating. I'm not hating. See, Red Bay is winless this year, and Belmont is undefeated. You know what? I think Red Bay plays them pretty close this week. I think Belmont still gets the job done, but I think Red Bay keeps it closer than we think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Pretty much all I know about Belmont is that they are 3-0. That's pretty much all I know about Belmont. But I just don't see Red Bay getting their first win this week. It says that Belmont had a pretty big win against an unbeaten Walnut. Never heard of the school Walnut, but
I haven't either.
they beat unbeaten Walnut 40-18 last week. So I'm gonna have to go Belmont, get another big win.
All right, guys. Listen, I know last week I said I'm never going to pick Red Bay, but
Going back on it, I bet.
listen, the thing is, it's a team in Mississippi. We don't know who they're playing,
You're right.
right? You know what I'm saying? And we really haven't heard of this team. They are 3-0, which is an impressive record. But I will say, I think Red Bay, obviously, they're 0-4. They're wanting a win. I mean, they're praying
Definitely.
for a win at this point, and they need one. They need one bad. I'm thinking Red Bay's going to come out. They're going to squeeze out a win right here. I think they're going to squeeze out a win. I don't think it's going to be.
Thanks.
How sweet.
That's what
Wow.
wow.
Thank you, Abby, even though that was to Carter.
Appreciate it.
Anyway, so I think Red Bay's going to squeeze out a dub on this one. I'm going to have to go back on what I said last week. I'm going to have to go back on it. I hate to do it, but I think that Red Bay's got it in them. And
Hope
I'm
you're
really,
right.
honestly, this is just a guess. Belmont don't know anything about them. So I think Red Bay's going to do it.
I hope you're right. I would love to see Red Bay get their first win.
I would too.
Red Bay's 0-4 so far, and Belmont's 3-0. That's all I really need to hear.
Absolutely.
I think Belmont's gonna take this one by at least 2 touchdowns. That's what I'm guessing.
Okay.
All right.
Mississippi boys.
The Mississippi boys, man, they're rough.
That's right.
All right. Next game that we're going to be talking about is Sheffield at Waterloo. Sheffield at Waterloo. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and say this before we start. I don't think this is going to be, well, I was going to say I don't think this is going to be a high-scoring game, but you never know.
So we thought about Tanner, but
You never know.
Exactly.
So, anyways, Sam, how do you feel about that one?
So, the Sheffield game last week was one of those games where we unanimously picked against Sheffield, against undefeated Colbert Heights, and Sheffield came out and punched them in the mouth. So, they really
Out of nowhere.
impressed me.
Big
Very
surprise.
Yeah.
Huge.
And Waterloo lost to Meek pretty big, I think. So, yeah.
We have an update. Brooks is up 3-0 against Lauderdale County. Thank you for the update. Thank you very much.
Wow.
Thank you, Aunt Cam. I appreciate that. Brooks up 3-0 in the first quarter. So we will
Big field
continue
goal,
to
big
try
field goal.
to update y'all throughout the show. And hopefully we guessed right.
I think I did.
Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, so I got Sheffield after all that.
I mean, Sheffield, big surprising win last week.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all unanimously said that they were going to have a big loss again. After seeing them play us at Marcel on a rainy night, not pretty to see.
No.
Really, honestly,
It was
pretty sad.
It wasn't pretty enough for me to stay throughout the whole game. I left at the end of the time.
and I left at halftime. But aside from that, I think they have a whole lot of momentum. I bet they had a great week of practice. It's good to get your first win. I bet they always have a smile on their face.
It was a good first win too against a good team.
Undefeated team.
Yes, I don't think anybody would have picked them.
No.
I don't think anybody would have picked them.
So, based off that, I got Sheffield getting their second win.
Yeah. I'm also going to have to go Sheffield, and I want to go ahead and say this. I want to show you some of their games in the past. So they played a not very strong Decatur Heritage team and lost by 20 points, 42-22. And then they played Rogers, and they lost 30-0, right? And then they played us, Marcel. They lost 62-0. That was the game we were talking about that we left pretty early. But then all of a sudden they come out with an undefeated. They play an undefeated team, Colbert Heights, and win by 20 points, 47-27. It was like almost they put a whole nother team on the field.
Yeah, might as well.
And so I got to say, like Carter said, I feel like our faith kind of needs to be a little restored enough. You know what I'm saying?
I
They're
think
coming
so.
off of their first win. It was a great first win, and I'm thinking they're obviously wanting more. And that does really kind of restore my faith in Sheffield. I definitely think Sheffield's going to win. I think it's going to be a close game. But I think Sheffield's got it. I really do.
I was looking up these 2 teams, and it says that last year when they played, Sheffield beat Waterloo 42-0.
Really?
Yeah, that's what it said. So, I don't think this year's gonna be any different than last year.
So I agree, Sheffield.
Mhm.
I'm glad we're talking good about Sheffield.
I am too.
I'm
I feel like Sheffield.
happy.
I feel like Sheffield kind of gets dogged on.
They
Here
definitely-
recently,
they
they've
definitely
kind of had a rough spurt in sports, and I gotta say they deserve that win.
They do.
They
They
deserve that win. They obviously worked for it. Came out of nowhere.
Happy for those guys.
Mine too. I gotta say, especially after the 2 previous games, 30-0 to 62-0.
They needed it.
They needed something, and I think they're going to follow through. That would be tonight.
Hopefully,
correct?
they'll get a couple more fans in the stands after that one.
Yeah,
I
hopefully.
think they will.
Some of the students might actually show up for this.
I definitely think they will. Okay, next game we have is it's going to be Tharptown at Vina. Tharptown and Vina, 2 teams that I feel like we really don't think about too much.
No.
Especially Vina. I've been there like one
Absolutely.
time, and during the game, I needed something to go. No, sorry. Before the game, I wanted to go get something to eat, and I couldn't find anything within like 30 minutes. I had to go to like a gas station and get
Nice.
like a candy bar. out in the middle of nowhere, by the way.
Absolutely.
But I'll tell you, man, those Red Devils are something different.
You know,
so.
I might be wrong, but I believe Vina is where Mars Hill lost its very first playoff game. I was a ball boy that game, and it was the first playoff game in Mars Hill history. You know, Coach Higgins is just a couple of years in, and we get there, and all I remember is it is the rainiest game of my entire life. I mean, I was wearing these nice pair of shoes, and they were absolutely ruined. So I have a little hate towards Vina because of that rainy day, and because of the loss the win for them against Mars Hill in our first playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
Start us off, Sam.
Yeah, so Vina is trying to reach their first 4-win season in a while.
Really?
I don't know what mine says 2015, but that can't be right if they made it to the playoffs. But
it was probably about
could have been 9.
Could have been 4 area.
Maybe something's a little off there, but
we'll have to look into that.
Yeah, and they're playing winless Tharptown, so I think and I have here the all-time series is 7-7. So it seems like it's usually a pretty close game.
Pretty close game.
Important,
Probably
very
a
important for
rivalry,
both teams.
Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if this is a rivalry. If you have any insight to that, please let us know. I really don't know anything, like I said, about Tharptown or Vina.
I think our viewers have a lot of insight on that.
Hey, buddy, you never know.
16 of them.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's important to both teams, and I think Vina hits that mark they've been looking for. Big 4.
Vina in the last, if I'm reading this right, Vina has not been scored on all year long.
What?
It says
no.
the Wildcats.
Vina lost last week.
I mean, okay. I mean, the last 4 meetings against Tharptown. Against Tharptown. I apologize. I read that wrong. But so Tharptown has not scored on them in the last 4 meetings, so I have to go Vina. I want to see another shutout from Vina this week.
I also think Vina, like we said, that they just lost their like last week was their first loss. They were undefeated. They had been looking good throughout the season. But like Sam said, they're also 7-7. So I do think that's probably a pretty big rivalry between the two teams. I think both of them are definitely wanting their win, especially Tharptown. Tharptown is 0-4 right now. They definitely need something to get a little momentum going for them. But I do think that Tharptown just doesn't have it in them. I do think Vina's probably going to win this one. They're probably a little upset after having an undefeated season and then losing last week, their first game.
Absolutely.
So I will say Vina's going to win this one.
Yeah, Tharptown looking for their first win this season, and it's going to be a lot of pressure against their offense because they lost, but Decatur hit 68-0. And it's just, I'm going to take the underdog. I think Tharptown. I'm going to go Tharptown.
Okay.
Barrett.
Okay.
No way.
Vina witnessed their
Guns a-blazing, Barrett.
4-game. They can witness their 4-game winning streak, but I just think that they'll take it out on the field after their not winning season. So I think Tharptown's good.
Definitely not winning season.
I would love to see that.
I would too, man.
love to
That would be incredible.
That'd be
Hey, we thought that.
Tanner. We thought Tanner.
We thought Tanner
was going to get their brains beat out because they had only scored 7 points in the past 4 games. I mean, honestly, that's impressive in and of itself to
Absolutely.
have 7 points in 4 games.
I feel like that's harder than it is to score.
So
So
anyway,
hey, this might be repeated last week.
Hey,
you never know,
Tharptown.
man.
It says that Tharptown last year beat them 21-0 or 28-0.
28.
It says.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope you're right, Barrett, but I think you're going to be wrong.
Probably.
I also agree. I think Vina's going to be out for blood. I really do. Not just because it's Tharptown, but because of their loss last week. That had to have been pretty devastating. They've been doing really, really well here recently, and then all of a sudden they lose. Anyways, Wilson at Lexington. I feel like this is going to be not a good game. Before I go ahead and let Sam take it over.
I don't either, man.
Yeah. Lexington beat Red Bay last week, and I think we all predicted it. And I think we did, right?
Yeah, because we said we'll never pick Red Bay.
Actually, I said I never have picked Red Bay.
And then you also didn't that week. Anyway,
I said I probably would.
I had to go back on that, though, today. I do think Red Bay's going to pull out a win. Anyways.
I don't, but still. There's always a chance.
There's always a chance.
I think they'll play close. Besides the fact, all right, so Lexington beat Red Bay, and Wilson scored 2 touchdowns last week, which surprised me,
Wow.
Yeah, so Lexington's winning pretty big.
I have to go with Lexington. Brody Killen has 450 passing yards on the year, 9 touchdowns. You know, not the best completion percentage, but I mean, you can't argue with 9 touchdowns. And so, I mean, Lexington's looking pretty good this year. But it's not really going to matter how they play. Honestly, it's just going to be about how many points they can.
How many points they? Yeah.
Because I don't see Wilson being able to contain Lexington.
I don't either. I really don't. And the thing is see, I'm going to read off their record so far. So Wilson played Rogers, and they lost 42-17. Okay, then they lost to Danville 34-14. They played Central, who's also looking really good, but we'll get to that later. 56-7. Played Deshler 60-0. Played Brooks 61-14. I would love to say they're 0-5 and they're wanting that first win, which they are. But you know, I would love to say they're 0-5, man, and I think they're gonna have this one, you know, because they're pumped up.
It seems like that's a long way away, man.
Exactly. They just don't have it in them. I don't think they have the ability this year. Nothing against Wilson, but this is just, you know, what I've been shown.
Numbers don't lie.
Numbers don't lie. And the thing is, I just don't think Wilson has it in them to be able to pull out this win. Lexington's looking really well, though. They have lost 2 games against Lauderdale County and Decatur Heritage, which kind of concerns me a little bit about Decatur Heritage because I don't think they're a super strong team this year. But anyways, Lauderdale County has been known for being pretty good over the past several years. Anyways, I do think Lexington's going to win this one.
It says that Lexington has 157 points scored and 31.4 points a game. So I'm going to have to go Lexington by a large majority.
Wow. And I will say, I just saw this. The last time that these two teams met was in 2007, which is kind of shocking.
Really?
Which is really, really shocking to me. And it was a 21-10 Wilson victory. So that's also shocking to me.
Why haven't they played in so long?
Then again, I don't know.
That's ridiculous.
I don't know. That's really, really weird. But that was, 17 years ago?
Yeah.
So that was a while ago. Teams are completely different. And sad to say it, but I don't think Wilson's got a chance on this one.
I do not agree.
All right. So next game that we're going to be talking about is these were games that were scheduled on Thursday from the get-go. Like they were scheduled to get today a while ago, and they've stayed this way. Okay, so Hatton at Westminster. Now this is the Westminster in Huntsville. This is the team that like Chase McCarty went out from, who played basketball. He ended up going to
Houston. Well, he's
Houston
at
University.
Houston now.
He's at Houston now. He did go straight from Westminster to ING Academy. Really fun player to watch. Anyways, they've got some good athletes at Westminster, at least in the
Not if you're playing defense on them. It's not very fun.
Did you have to guard Chase McCarty? So
No, I was on the floor though.
good call.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not fun to guard him. But anyways, he was a really good athlete. That's the team that we're talking about, the one out of Huntsville. They normally have some really good athletes out of there, and their student section is
Terrifying.
yes, it's pretty rough. I'm not gonna lie. I haven't seen an amped up student section like that in ever. And honestly, it's not even near as big of a school as other schools I've seen.
No, it's not.
And it's crazy. But anyways, go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, I do remember I was called a lot of names that Westminster game, but you know. So I'll get right down to it. Hatton lost to West Morgan, and Westminster beat DAR. I don't think it's very great, but still. You know, Westminster has the better record so far this year, but both their wins are against teams that are 2-16 combined. So I got Hatton upsetting Westminster this week.
Wow.
You know, I may actually jump on that train with you, Sam.
You were thinking?
I mean, I'm going to be honest, I was going to go Westminster and I wasn't going to think anything else about it. But I would love to see one from Hatton this week, you know, 2-2. I want to see them get out of the 500 category. I want to see them add another win in that and go above 500 this week. And, you know, I'm always going to go, majority of the time, I'm going to go for the team closest to home. And I would rather see Hatton succeed, no offense, than Westminster. So thank you, Dad, for correcting my mistake. It was not Vina. That makes your stat make a lot more sense.
Sandra.
No. But the rainy game story, that is absolutely true. Now it must just not been. I'm always thinking of different games, but I know it was raining at Vina. I know. I talked about that the other day with somebody else. So it was definitely a rainy day in Vina.
Well, Preacher Hubel, we appreciate your comment to get us back on track. I'm sure he's gonna appreciate me saying that. Anyways, are you done talking about?
Yeah, I'm gonna take Hatton.
You're gonna take Hatton on this one. Okay, so at first, right when I was looking at it, I was like, Westminster's definitely got this one. Westminster has an impressive record, 4-1. Hatton is 2-2. It's not a very good record. I mean, it's not horrendous. It's not like some of the other teams we've seen here, 0-5 or 0-4. But the wins that they've had so far are teams that have a combined record of 2-16, which is horrendous, to say the least. Westminster is playing some teams that we don't really know of. We've heard the name. They lost to Randolph, which I know has some good athletes. We've played Randolph before in basketball. But they lost 35-9, so they took a pretty big beating against Randolph, and then they beat DAR, who I really don't know anything about.
I don't either.
So I don't know. I'm kind of torn on this one.
Even the fiction.
That's Carson.
Heard
But
Justin?
Justin's the one that gave him that Sandrock game. Thank you,
Justin
Coach Spain.
Spain. We appreciate
That's
that one.
Carson.
Okay, but anyways, I'm kind of torn on this one. I really want to say that Hatton's going to win, just because
Told you. Thank you, Mom.
it was not a playoff. Okay, so you were thinking
Two different games going on
Yeah,
in your head,
your
guys.
parents
Sorry.
and girlfriend blowing up.
I'm
Yeah,
telling
it's
you, man,
only my family.
the Hugo family is really representing right now. But anyways, I would love to say that Hatton's going to win because Westminster is not really playing some great teams. But I definitely think Westminster is going to have some athletes on them. I mean, I'm just remembering the basketball games, and I know it's a completely different sport, but I know that they've got some good guys. And they are
athletes.
And I do know that Randolph also has some really good athletes. They put up they got their tails kicked by Randolph, but Randolph they're very good.
Randolph's got a good
sports
program in just about anything.
So I am going to say Westminster is going to win this one. I'm going to have to disagree with y'all. I would love for Hatton to win this one. I'm rooting for him, honestly, but I do think Westminster is going to come out with this one. I think it's going to be a close game, though. I think it's going to be probably about one touchdown.
I'm not going to argue with the records. I got Westminster.
I hope you're wrong, Barrett, because I want to be right.
Well, I mean, I hope you're right because I want to be right, but at the same time, I really want to.
It'll be close then.
Either way, Harrison's going to be happy.
Yeah, honestly, I think I will. I think I'll be happy no matter what happens. Okay, next game we got, which we struggled getting a lot of information on this one, but next game we have is Winfield at Fayette County. Now, I talked to somebody today that actually graduated from Winfield, and they said that this is actually a big time rivalry. This is a pretty big game of the year. I think everybody's kind of been, I guess, Winfield and Fayette County fans have probably been talking about this one and waiting on this one. So I'm excited to see what happens. But this game was originally scheduled on Thursday. This was supposed to happen today. It wasn't pushed earlier because of the hurricane coming in tomorrow. So Sam, how do you feel about this one?
So yeah, you mentioned the rivalry. My family lives in Fayette, and we go to Winfield, which is a 30-minute drive, basically, around 25 maybe, for Thanksgiving every year. And so, yeah, I definitely believe it's a big rivalry. But, Fayette coming off a good win against Haleyville last week, pretty impressive. But Winfield's just too good, too dominant. I got Winfield.
Come back to me.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about their past. So since August of 2014, these two teams, Winfield and Fayette, are 5-5 against each other, which would explain the rivalry. Winfield's defense has allowed roughly 17 points per game this season, and so Fayette County is, they've got their offense, cut out for them. They've got their work cut out for them. That's not a lot of points they're letting up. Roughly 17 points. And you've always heard about Winfield being kind of a force to reckon with. They've always been a good football school, as far as I've heard. I really do think that Winfield's going to win this one. From what I've read, I don't think Fayette County's really got it in them. I would love for them to win. I think it would be good for Fayette, especially good for Sam's family out there in Fayette. But
I've got to ask, from what I'm seeing, is the mascot for Fayette County the Lakers?
No.
Okay. My sources
never heard of that before.
My sources are very wrong. Check this out for me. And then the Lakers.
Anyways,
No.
During that dead time, I'm going to go ahead and say that
The Tigers or the Cats or something. Some big cat. I don't know.
they beat Winfield beat Phil Campbell pretty big last Friday, 43-28. And Phil Campbell, man, those are some country boys too. They've what?
Thank
Oh no, that's right. Scott Wright,
What a Christmas set.
great lesson this week. Or
Scott
was
Wright,
that
we
the end of
really-
last week.
It was.
So it was Monday.
It was-
Yeah.
It
Great
was
job.
Monday. Very good lesson. We appreciate that. But anyways, yeah, I do think Winfield's going to win this one. They've always been a really good football school, and I think they're going to continue that tonight. I think they're going to be 6-5 against each other after tonight.
Okay, I'm pretty sure it's the Tigers. I would say
Okay.
Fayette County Tigers.
Well, I'm gonna keep looking because
You might need to
I'm
text your family.
gonna look like a
Keep
big.
going.
I'm gonna look like a big dummy if I'm wrong on that one. Go ahead, Barrett. I'm like you just jump back to me after you.
Winfield's offensive average of points is 30.4, sorry, and their defense has allowed 87 points scored on them. 17.4 is the average of every game. So I think that Winfield's going to come out with this one. I think their defense is looking good. Their offense is looking pretty good. So I got Winfield on this one.
You know, I can't. Okay, they are the Tigers, so I don't
Not the
know.
Lakers.
I don't know where that came from. I got really excited. I'm a big Laker fan, but everything I found from this game says that it's going to be a heated rivalry. So it says everybody looks forward to these matchups every week. You know,
Mhm.
I'm going to go Winfield. You know, Winfield's got some great guys down there. You know, I just know from basketball,
Mhm.
I know they've got some really good guys down there in the past, and I'm sure they do now. So I'm gonna have to go Winfield.
Yeah, and I will say, like what we talked about last week, we kind of already we mentioned it last week. We do have a lot of connections to Winfield once you start thinking about it. We have Coach Spann, who was actually Justin Spann, who was mentioned by Matt or Leah?
It was Matt.
Justin Spann. Then we have Coach Goodwin. He also coached at Winfield for several years and taught
did?
there, if I'm not
He
mistaken.
did both.
And then
Coach Goodwin, Mr. Goodwin.
That's what he said.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said.
we don't know where Sam has been for the
Wake
past
up,
25
Sammy.
seconds. And then his daughter Jordan, who also I got that information from today at school. She said that it is a pretty big rivalry and this is a big game. So I really am excited to see what happens. I do think it's going to be a close game. But Winfield, you've always heard of them being good at football, if not anything else. So
I agree.
anyways, next game that we're going to be looking at is going to be Austin at Florence. And this is one of the two games that we actually have on a normal Friday night if nothing changes. You know, if the weather's going to be bad tomorrow, for all we know, it could be pushed off or canceled.
Is this at Florence?
Yeah, it is. Austin at Florence.
Okay.
So,
Well, I'm gonna jump in. Sorry, Sam. I'm gonna go ahead and start this one off. You know, Chandler Dixon, we're talking about him a lot. One player of the week last week. Hey, Florence had an absolutely amazing game against Bob Jones last week.
they did.
But there was a big brawl after the game.
There was. And
And
if I'm not mistaken, one player is suspended.
Yes, Florence is missing one player from suspension. I don't know anything about the player. I don't know if he's a starter or not. He's never
either.
touched the field. I just know that he will not be playing
He
tonight.
could, for all I know, he could have been somebody just sitting on the bench and wanted a little action at the end of the game, so he went all in.
Team
Hey,
chemistry,
and-
and you never know how that affects.
I
things.
respect that. You know, and Chandler hit a 47 and 21-yard field goal. One of them in overtime. I believe it was the 47-yard field goal in overtime to win
Which
this
is
game.
awesome, dude. I mean,
Chandler.
he's got a
Chandler.
leg
I
on.
mean, I'm a big fan of Chandler. So I'm gonna have to take Florence. You know, I think a win against Bob Jones and from anybody, that's a big game. You know, Bob Jones is a good sports school. I'm gonna have to take Florence coming off of a really big win for that school last Friday at Bob Jones.
Okay, I can go ahead and talk about this one. We're kind of mixing up the order. Couldn't think of the word for a second. Anyway, so I'm gonna have to disagree with Carter on this one. As much as I would love to see Florence win this one, it is our hometown. I do think Florence is going to lose this one. They did come off of a big win against Bob Jones. They're going to be pretty amped up with Chandler Dixon having that 47-yard field goal at the end of the game in overtime. But Austin is 4-0, and it's kind of funny because the last time these two teams were scheduled to play each other was 2 weeks ago, and the weather actually messed it up. I don't know what's going on right now, so I'm not.
Just keep going. That's
I'm not sure what's going on. Anyways, so the last time these two teams were scheduled to play was 2 weeks ago, and weather messed them up. And honestly, if people are moving all their games to Thursday, I wouldn't be shocked if the weather messed them up tomorrow either.
Absolutely.
But yeah. So the Falcons beat Bob Jones 26-23, and it says that a fight broke out. So we already knew about that. All that we know is that the Madison police were involved in breaking it up. We know that a player is suspended, but we don't know who that player is. And even if we did, I feel like we probably should not talk about that on
I agree with you.
on this. But anyways, Austin's looking pretty good this year. I do think Florence is going to be pretty excited, and I think they obviously want this win. They are 2-0, not or 2-2. They're not a very impressive record so far, but I don't think Florence has got it in them to beat Austin, undefeated Austin. As much as I would love Florence to win this game, I think Austin's going to come out with a dub. Sam?
Florence looks pretty strong, my bad. Florence looks pretty strong, but after coming off that one of Bob Jones, but I think that Haleyville, their offense is looking pretty good. Their defense is looking really good too. So I think Haleyville's going to take this one, or Austin. Sorry, Austin's going to take this one.
Haleyville is playing somebody else.
Already talked about that one.
All right, so Florence, won a very close one last week. Austin's undefeated. Sadly, I'm gonna take Austin.
Am I the only person that took Florence?
Yeah.
I think you are.
No,
Don't change it.
no, I'm saying don't let me
Okay,
down.
okay.
Don't let me down, Florence.
Now listen, it's kind of the same thing with who was it?
Tanner.
No, who did I say I wanted to win earlier?
I think you said you wanted to,
Hatton.
Yeah.
but you'd be happy either way.
I would be happy to, and I think this is going to be the same case in this game. I would love for Florence to win. I'm kind of rooting for them, but at the same time, if Austin won, my pick is right. I don't care. Anyways,
I would like to say before we move on, I actually would like to change one of my picks.
Oh boy.
is that allowed? Hey, can we get the?
I'll allow it just because I want to know what he has
How
to
do
say.
y'all feel? How do y'all feel about that? Is that allowed? I don't know. I might have to think about it. But go ahead.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to switch it back to Fayette. I think my dad would be very disappointed.
I guarantee he got a text from his dad.
Get text messages from his family. You're not invited to Thanksgiving, Sam.
Well, Dad, that's his alma mater, as Fayette County. Defensive end, tight end.
David played football.
He's
Listen,
a football player.
David Sweat, owner of Peak Performance, man. I'm telling you. Yeah, he's co-owner, is he not?
Yeah.
Okay, exactly. Co-owner of Peak Performance. Man, I'm telling you, he's a legend. He is a legend. He
Played
is
college basketball at South Alabama.
I'm talking 6'8", huge.
Hey,
He's-
Stacey Thigpen.
Sam
Can't
Sweat,
change your
can't
pick.
change pick. I kind of agree with her. I really do.
That's a good.
Anyways, sorry.
All right. Anyway,
Yeah.
shout out to
I
Hannah
appreciate you
Pompall.
telling me that. Well, I went with that.
Uh,
Honestly,
go
you
Fayette.
not said anything. I think that would have been better. Anyways, go ahead.
Next, you go
Next.
Fayette.
Okay, all right. Oh, we have one more game. This is it. This is the one last game that we have for Friday night. We can't hold it together tonight, guys. Y'all gonna have to be mature. Colbert Heights at Falkville. Colbert Heights at Falkville. What y'all thinking? Do I need to start off? Do I need to just go ahead and
Start us off.
I'm the only one that's mature apparently here. Okay, so Colbert Heights has a 4-1 record. Falkville has 1-3. I really don't know a whole lot about Falkville. Colbert Heights has looked really good. They've had a lot of guys on the leaderboard, especially last week. They are an impressive looking team. So I do gotta say, I do think Colbert Heights is gonna win this game. Falkville's not sounding very good. This year, Colbert Heights' one loss was to Sheffield, which is kind of out of nowhere.
Absolutely.
We beat Sheffield 61-0 or 60-0.
Something big.
So
Too much.
it was too big for me to stay the whole entire game. So anyway, Colbert
Thank you,
Heights,
Mr. Sonny.
Primetime Entertainment. We appreciate you logging on, Mr. Sonny.
10-0.
Wow.
I'm telling you, I'm right about this Brooks pick.
Wow. And Kim, we appreciate you doing that.
Thank you for letting us know.
Brooks 10-0 in
Did
the
I say
second.
Lauderdale County was going to win by 10?
Yeah, I think you're wrong, Barrett.
Mm.
I had faith in my Tigers. They're letting me down.
Okay, anyways, I do think Colbert Heights is going to win this one. Like I said, I don't really know a whole lot about Falkville. But it does scare me a little bit that they did lose to Sheffield by 20 points. And what we saw from Sheffield, I think, if I'm allowed, I'm not going to say this rudely, but I do think that we could, never mind. So
Smart.
they lost to Sheffield by 20 points, but I do think that Colbert Heights is going to come out with a win. I don't think it's going to be by much, though. I see this being kind of a closer game.
Colbert Heights'
really do.
defense has only allowed 17.8 points this year
Per game?
per game. Yeah.
Well, it's It was probably a whole lot better until they played Wilson.
What a
Falkville-
picture.
Falkville
Wow,
cut
though.
offense cut out.
Lost to Sheffield by 20. They did though.
It
They
was
did lose to
bad.
Sheffield
So
by 20. It's
you may not believe us, and I didn't believe us, but that is unfortunately correct. You know, Colbert Heights, I think that they're real mad about the result they had last week. I mean, we've talked enough about Sheffield this week. I'm just gonna say Sheffield is what they are what they something they're not good. And so I'm gonna have to go Colbert Heights. I think they're real upset about what happened last week, and I do not think they're gonna lose 2 in a row, especially to a team that's 1-3, Falkville.
Mhm.
Yeah, embarrassing loss to Sheffield last week. You know, very important to their season to bounce back right here against Falkville. So, yeah, I'm going for Colbert Heights here.
Okay, so if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure that wraps us up completely. So I want to go ahead and just say the idle teams because, we did get finished. We're not completely finished yet, but with our games, we did get finished up a lot earlier. If you watched last week, you can definitely tell. I think we probably went for about an hour 10 or close to that last week. But the idle teams this week are Central, Mars Hill. These are just kind of in our area, the ones we're very aware of. Central, Mars Hill, Muscle Shoals, Rogers, Russellville, and Shoals Christian. So we are down like 6 games that we would normally be talking about. But before we go ahead and move on, there's been something that's kind of happened that has happened in our area. Christian, I want to get his name correct. Christian Hardnett. He played at Rogers and he got injured last Friday in the Rogers game. I'm looking right now to see the most recent updates on him.
It's very serious.
It's
It is very
extremely
serious.
serious.
He is in UAB hospital right now.
He is in the UAB hospital. They need our prayers, guys. It's pretty bad. As much as I've heard. Apparently, he tore his aorta, and he's in pretty rough condition. So that happened last Friday. If anybody has any updates on him, we would love it. That are watching. If you've heard anything, we would love to get some feedback from y'all.
I'm just gonna give him a shout out. I'm gonna go ahead and highlight his stats. He seems to be Rogers' leading receiver. He was off to a great start this year, and I hope he can make a speedy recovery. He had 24 catches at the time, 300 and almost 340 yards, 2 touchdowns, 14 yards per catch. So he was off to a great start. Praying for him. I hope he can get back.
Mm-hmm. So if you don't care, keep that family and Rogers in your prayers, and especially Christian. He needs our prayers, and I know he's really struggling right now. So is the Rogers family and his personal family. So Carter, if you don't mind, this is not going to completely wrap up the segment, but if you don't mind, go ahead and say a prayer for that family, and then we will move on to the next.
Dear God, we're so thankful for this day. We're so thankful for the weather that you've given us this week. We ask that you watch over us throughout the rest of this week, and thank you for letting us have this time where we can talk about things we enjoy. And right now, specifically, we ask that you be with the Hardnett family. We know that Christian's going through a lot right now, and we just ask that you comfort him in the way that only you can, and comfort his family, and comfort the community down there in Green Hill and at Rogers. And we ask that you give him a speedy recovery, if it be your will, and just watch over us and watch over his family. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Part of your hairs would be great, man.
Yeah, I'm more of a hat guy today.
So, anyways, that really wraps up most of what we have kind of had scheduled. Now, I do want to go over some things. If y'all have any kind of leaderboards, like passing, rushing, anything like that you'd like to go ahead and shout out, some key players that we really weren't able to talk about tonight or that we haven't talked about, go ahead and feel free to do that. I can go ahead and start. So like we said, there's a lot of teams that have a bye week this week. So it's really kind of different because, normally we're talking about certain players, we're excited to see what they have this Friday night, but they're just going to be chilling at home. So I want to start off. I'm going to go over some rushing. If y'all want any other topic that y'all would like to cover, go ahead and do that. I'm just going to pick a few. So Cam Finney from Russellville. I'm sure y'all have heard this name. He has 1,385 yards on the season, 15 touchdowns, and about 10 yards per carry. Really good athlete, and excited to see how many yards he ends up with at the end of the season. Bryant Hanback from Central, crucial player. He actually had a headline on the Times Daily. I don't remember exactly what it said, but he was on there. I can assure you that. Bryant Handback, he is really big for them over there. He has 756 yards on the season, 8 touchdowns, and is averaging about 9 yards per carry. Really tough guy. I'm telling you, those Central Wild Dogs over there.
Wild Dogs.
They're built different. Now I'm going to go Caden Chandler. Caden Chandler has 487 yards on the season, 9 touchdowns, and about 9.5 yards per carry. Let's see here. I want to highlight some other people. Garrett Burrow, who should be playing who is playing tonight.
Quarterback.
Yes. He actually has 345 yards on the season, 9 touchdowns, and about 7.3 yards per carry. Hudson Higgins, 317 yards on the season, 1 touchdown, and about 11 yards per carry. Now, I got to say, 11 yards per carry is
That's ridiculous. And he's in our offense. He's not getting the ball too many
he's
times.
really not.
And
So
he is on the. Sorry, I got put you up there. He is on the receiving leaderboard also with 7 catches, 133 yards. So he's he's getting the ball both ways. Not as many times rushing, but 1 touchdown receiving also. And, I'm going to jump back to Garrett Burrow. 9 touchdowns as a quarterback. That's a whole lot.
That's
Still
very
looking for
impressive.
his first passing touchdown of the year, which I said
For all we know,
it might have happened. And I did call that. I said I could see him getting his first touchdown. I mean, Garrett. We saw Garrett play a little bit last year. He's a good runner. He's a very gifted runner from the quarterback position. And I did some research. We talked about Cam Finazine. He is, if Max Preps has this correct, he is 2nd in the nation in rushing yards.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, I've seen that guy play. He can run the ball. He is very strong with the ball, at least.
Absolutely.
Some other people I want to talk about. Tyler Wood, who's also Rogers' quarterback. He has 289 yards on the season, 6 touchdowns, and about 4.4 yards per carry. Speedy Coffee, who's the guy we talked about last week.
Yeah.
Really, really cool name. Speedy Coffee, he has 284 yards on the season, 4 touchdowns, and about 7.1 yards per carry.
I mean, it's not normal. It's not an everyday thing that the quarterback is getting more rushes than the running back. But I mean, what is Brooks' record? What would we say they are?
So they should be
2-2. So
2-2. Okay.
I don't know. I mean, it seems to be working all right. Maybe something needs to change. I don't know. I mean, I'm waiting for the passing game to click. I think when they can get this passing game to click, everything's going to change for Brooks High School.
And I have 2 more that I want to go over, and then we can go on to another topic other than rushing. Okay, so Hunter Palmer from Central, also a really big key player, along with Brian Handback. He has 528 yards on the season. He's ranked, let's see, 5th right now in our area. He has 528 yards on the season, 5 touchdowns, and about 6.7 yards per carry. And, of course, Jackson Penn. He has 471 yards on the season, 9 touchdowns, and 9.4 yards per carry, which is also very impressive. Now,
I mean, looking at the carry, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but it seems to me like the Central coaches are really watching Bryant and Hunter's carries. They're five carry difference. So they're really trying to split the reps as evenly as possible. So
they definitely are. And I got to say, we talked about that last week with Jackson Penn, Caden Chandler, and why can't I not think of the other one? Jackson Penn, Caden Chandler, and Hudson Higgins. They're like our Brooks 10, LCHS, Smithfield go do.
Hey, that PAT might make a big difference on that
That's
game.
very, very true.
1 point can make a big difference in a game
We
like that.
appreciate that update.
Thank you so much.
Jackson Pitt having 9 touchdowns. That's pretty impressive.
It's very impressive.
And
Now,
Finney having 15.
15 touchdowns is
Nice.
ridiculous.
And 1,000 rushing yards.
Almost
Actually,
1,400.
13, 25 away from 1,400.
And
15 away, excuse me.
up until last week, I believe Caden had, somebody told me 20, 25 carries last week. We really force fed the ball to Caden this week
Yeah,
or
60.
last week.
Yeah.
And so
67 now.
up until last week, we kept it, or the coaches kept it really close between carries between him and Jackson. I'm excited to see who's going to start taking more. I think Caden has proved that. I mean, he wants the ball, but I think Jackson has also proved. I think that our coaches are at a very hard spot of who they want to give the ball to when it matters most.
But at the same time, that's that's a good feeling to have.
That's a
When
great
you know-
that's a
wrong.
great problem. to
Exactly.
have.
When you know it's tough to decide who you want, but at the same time, you really can't mess up. They're both looking really strong, and I gotta say, I say it every week, and I'm going to continue to say it. Caden Chandler he is the mule of the team,
He's a monster.
and
You know, we meant to address this. Really hard for us to get a guest picker this week. You know,
you would think it'd be easier with all the buys that we had,
But-
we actually had a harder time.
everybody's playing tonight, and everybody that's not playing tonight
Is
wants
going
to
to
watch the
watch.
games tonight. So it was really hard for us to find a guest picker. We'll see if we can get one next week.
Yes. But like I was saying, he is a mule of the team. You know, like you have about 4 people on him, and dude, he is still running. He is not done running until his face hits the ground. But anyways, Caden Chandler's looking really strong this year. So is Jackson Penn. And Hudson Higgins, for what he's been given, I mean, 10.9 yards per carry. That's the exact same as Cam Fennessy.
Tied for first.
I mean, that's very impressive. Anyways, that's all I got for rushing.
I want to see Kenan Pigg get the ball more.
I do too.
Mhm.
I really do. You know, I think we've got a stud in Canaan Pigg at tight end, you know, and we use him a lot in the rushing game. You know, he's not only a pass catcher, which we haven't seen much of in his career, but we have seen him. I mean, he's the best blocking tight end in the area, and there's not a question about it. He's
Mhm.
probably the biggest guy that we've seen play this year, at least in Marcel games. So I don't know. I think we try to get him the ball, but I think that opposing coaches have Cannon's number circled every week. Like,
Mhm.
don't let this man get the ball.
And when you can run it like we can, you know,
There's no need.
There's
it's not
no
really a
need.
need to throw it.
You're exactly
sometimes.
right.
On routes, I feel like for some teams, it's really hard to get a person who can match up with Cannon.
It
Cannon's
is.
just a monster, dude.
He's a big guy. You know, and I'm gonna highlight some of the receiving yards because
Okay.
I'm a big how do I say this, passing guy. You know, I enjoy watching some guys run the ball, but I'd rather see a quarterback drop back and throw a dime for a
Mhm.
touchdown. You know, Jamarion Reader for Florence. I talked to some guys from Florence. No touchdowns on the year, but 144 yards, but 18 catches. I talked to Chandler not too long ago, and he says that they run a lot of quick screen plays, and I've seen Jamarion run. That man is fast as lightning. So I'm pretty sure that they are really trying to get the ball in that man's hands so we can run around and score some touchdowns for him.
Mhm.
You know, we already talked about Christian Hardnett. You know, keep him in our prayers, but he's third. You know, 340 yards. That's you know, right there at third. Not far from being second. You know, number 1 is Corbin Reynolds from Loretto. We haven't talked much about Loretto, but Loretto looks really good statistically. You know, they've got number 3 in rushing, number 1 in receiving, and number 3 in passing. So they are, I mean, Loretto's all over the place in the stat sheet. And
Mhm.
also going to highlight Will White from Lexington. Only 5 catches, 223 yards
Mhm.
on 5 catches. Every catch he's had is a touchdown. That's
insane.
Randy Moss numbers right there.
I want to bring this up while it's on my mind. You were talking about you like to see quarterbacks throw it. I want to talk about Lauderdale County's quarterback real quick. He's a 10th grader, and he surprised me against Marcel the other night. He threw some great passes. He did really well, and I just wanted to kind of give him a shout out. He did really good for being a 10th grader.
I agree. You know, they had a rough time playing against us last week, but Lauderdale County's got a really good team down there.
They do have a good team.
They got a really good young team too.
They do.
And I'm excited. I'm excited to see what they do tonight against Brooks.
I agree.
Wrapping this up, I do want to touch on passing a little bit, and then I think if y'all have any additions, we'll go ahead, maybe some tackles, and then after that, I think we have about 59 minutes right now, so we've made pretty good time. Anyways, so on passing, number 1, Brody Killen from Lexington, he has 452 yards. Cade Clement from Muscle Shoals with 672. Mason Tidwell
There's
from
Loretto
he has 815, which is very impressive.
leading the area.
But he has thrown the ball a lot.
He has 82 passes.
So,
Look how many times Florence's quarterback has thrown the ball. Cade Davis,
mhm,
102 passes,
that's a lot.
4 interceptions, 4
That's a
touchdowns. You know,
lot.
they're still trying to work it out. But
Mhm.
I've talked to some of the guys down there, like I said, and they really believe in this quarterback. It's a tough position to be in, being a 7A quarterback. You know, like they lost
100%.
They lost a big starter in Leo Glover last year at the quarterback position, who was actually playing defensive back at UNA this year. So good for him. But it's a hard place to be in. You know, Cade only completing about a third of his passes, 4 interceptions, 4 touchdowns. But I mean, I'm sure it's a big confidence booster getting a big win against Bob Jones. So I'm ready to see Cade Davis turn around and be the good quarterback that I've heard he can be.
Yeah. Also, William Mann from Mars Hill. He has 407 yards. He's thrown the ball 44 times.
Not gonna jinx him. No interceptions.
Not gonna jinx
Knock
him,
on
but
wood. No
no
interceptions
interceptions
so
as
far.
of right now. He has been throwing some dimes here recently. He's a really quiet guy if you know him. But I gotta say,
He was on the
he was on the
Or guest
podcast
speaker.
last week. For some reason, I didn't even think about that. But William, man, if you've talked to him, very quiet. It's hard to get him to talk to you if he doesn't know you very well. But I gotta say, on that football field, he is one confident dude.
That's right.
He knows what he's doing.
see what his running game. I've seen a couple of runs that
He's quick, man.
He doesn't look to run either. He's
He
not.
doesn't
That's his
look to
last
run,
option. He
but
wants
I've-
to sling the
Yeah,
ball.
I've seen some good runs out of him.
I agree.
And every week I feel like he gets a little more accurate. A little more confidence. I
He
think
struggled starting the game off last week though. I'm
Mhm.
gonna mention that he did struggle. We bragged on Lauderdale County. They played a good game last week. Just
did.
wasn't enough.
They had a
It
good
started.
game plan.
It started
They
off
did.
rough.
Their game plan was
Yeah.
very perfect for us. We we were able to find a way to beat it. Coach Higgins does a great job with things like that. But we struggled with completions last week. But we ended up figuring it out. And honestly, William could get every incompletion. He could not complete a pass, and I think that there's a lot of games that we still win with our
Yeah.
strong
Mhm.
running.
And I think
Yeah.
just every week that confidence boost, he gets better and
He gets
better.
better
By the
and
end of
better.
the
He gets more
season,
confidence.
I don't know what you're going to do to try to stop
I agree.
Marcel.
I don't know either. He is a completely different guy on the field than he is in person. He's a great guy, but he is very quiet. And I tell you, he looks different. He acts different. He's doing a really good job.
It's hard coming off of Hanson. It's hard
It
coming
is,
off
yeah.
of him.
It is.
I mean,
you have
Hanson
a
was
guy,
5-year starter.
5-year starter, started in the 8th grade, and then
Took us to the
yeah.
state championship,
national.
not
I
the
wish that'd
national
be crazy.
championship.
But who is at Alabama right now? Sorry about that.
That's right. Roll Tide.
So Roll Tide, but anyway,
Big game
he's
tomorrow,
got big
or
shoes to fill.
Saturday.
And he's doing a really good job of it so far. So it's exciting to see him. I'm gonna skip down to some more some closer quarterbacks. Tyler Woods from Rogers. He has 607 yards. He has 79 pass attempts and 43 completions. Garrett Burrow from Brooks, who has not completed
A touchdown.
a touchdown yet. He
So
does
may-
Or,
may have
as we
happened.
know,
as we know.
Lexington 14-7 against Wilson. That's a big
Lexington 14.
score. Way to go, Wilson.
Yeah.
It's keeping it close.
Way to go. I'm shocked.
they scored.
I'm
They
shocked.
did. Good for them.
So that that
Thank
is
you,
pretty
Mr.
close.
Sonny.
Halftime, that's very easy to come back from.
Here we go. Oh, looks like Brooks scored again.
Wow.
Brooks 17. Hey, I'm telling you, I think that I was right on this Brooks pick. I'm very excited about this one.
Yeah, I definitely yeah.
Barrett, you might as well
Now,
just
Brooks is
leave,
looking pretty
brother.
strong. But I also want to talk about Garrett Burrow. It's kind of funny.
Thank you, Joseph.
Oh, Joseph. We appreciate
buddy
that.
from
He
church.
he
He has
goes.
a YouTube channel.
Shout out to Joseph Gray. He's an awesome guy. He knows his football. Anyways, Garrett Burrow from Brooks, who hasn't so far, well, that we know of, completed a touchdown pass. But he does have 552 yards, 79 attempts, and 49 completions. That's all I have. We already talked about Cade Davis from Florence. That's all I have on passing.
As we wrap up, I would like to ask, did y'all keep up with your records, your picks? I was 12-14.
Last week,
Last week I was
you were 12 and
12-14.
14. That's
Yeah.
terrible.
I know.
Oh my goodness.
Tanner game, Colbert County game, Colbert Heights, and what was the other one? Shoals Christian. I got those wrong.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you. I did not
I'm gonna have to go back.
keep
though.
up. I'm gonna have to rewatch.
We will start keeping up with that.
And then honestly, it would be great to have tally. Like
Thank
tally. Hey, you're not even in the camera right now, buddy. We're gonna try to log those. Maybe we should have like a whiteboard and have tally marks or something.
We'll figure something out.
We'll do something.
We'll
But
have something
anyway,
by next
I was not prepared for Sam to say that, so I will go back and watch that one, and then I will go back today, or not
Mhm.
today, but after these games are over, and we'll try to keep up with that. If y'all have anything on tackles, and that
Just
should be the
just
last thing.
one quick thing. I'm not gonna mention too much on tackles. There's not too much to say about tackles, but they're tackling a lot. Pretty much.
But there's tackles.
They're tackling
They're
a good
tackling.
bit. But I want to highlight, looking at the sacks category, Samuel Sweeney with 5, but then there's a jump. 7 sacks from Henry Thomas Blake, which I may be wrong, but I believe that that's from the safety position. 7 sacks as a safety,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe it's an outside linebacker. Either way, 7 sacks from a non-defensive lineman that's terrific.
Yeah. It really is. That's very impressive.
Him and Zoe Martin, I am going to talk a little bit about tackles. Zoe Martin, 57 total tackles on the year, averaging 14 per game. Looks like them two, Henry Thomas and Zoe Martin, are leading that Florence defense, and they both have 11 tackles for loss on the year. So,
well, guys, that is all I have. If y'all have anything else, y'all have any other things you'd like to talk about?
I think that's it.
All right, guys. Well, we appreciate you tuning in. Again, please keep the Hardnett family in your prayers. They really do need it right now. And also, I meant to say this earlier. Tomorrow is Hat Day. If you're anywhere in this area and you go to school, pretty much, you're our age. Tomorrow's Hat Day. You bring $1. I think they're doing it all around this area. You bring $1. You wear a hat. If you don't want to wear a hat, please bring $1 or more. I'm sure it would be very much appreciated. And please, like I already said, keep them in your prayers.
All the proceeds for the hats go to the Hardnett.
Yes, that all goes to their family. That's not just for fun. But anyways, we appreciate you tuning in. Please tell your friends, tell your family about this. We
comment.
And comment. Yes, we will answer comments. We really do like comments. So anyways, we appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you tuning in, and we hope that you tell your friends about this. And we appreciate your support on our Instagram. I know we haven't been able to go live on our Instagram, and I'll go ahead and say why. Our account has to be over 30 days old for us to go live, and it's close to 30 days, but it hasn't been 30 days old yet. So we have just been posting reels on that. If you do want to visit us, our Instagram page, though, our personal one, it's North_Alabama_Gameday. We really do appreciate your support. We've grown a lot here recently, and that's really awesome to see.
See you next week. Same time.
That's all we got.